Hello, and welcome to Cutting Through, where we present analysis of foreign policy and domestic politics that cuts through the noise of corporate and ideologically driven media. I'm Mitchell Plitnick, the president of Rethinking Foreign Policy and the author of the Cutting Through newsletter on Substack. You can subscribe to Cutting Through at mitchellplitnick.substack.com, where you can also become a paid subscriber or donate to support this work. It's only possible with your help and with your support. We have many paid subscribers who I am so deeply grateful to, and I really hope that you can join them. But even if not, feel free to just become a free subscriber and share Cutting Through with your friends and contacts. In a recent note on my Substack, I used a tweet from pollster Nate Silver to demonstrate the moral bankruptcy of the moderate slash liberal commentariat. Regarding Joe Biden pardoning his son Hunter, Silver wrote, and I quote, I voted for Harris despite feeling like Democrats indulged in a lot of bad behavior that voters were rational to punish. After the White House lying about the Hunter pardon, I'm not sure how much more I can tolerate. I found that just to be a remarkable statement. That this was the proverbial straw that broke the camel's back for Nate Silver. The pardon of Hunter Biden, while I agree is a very bad look, and not certainly a lie on Biden's part, but it is a minor blip on Biden's resume when compared to the magnitude of the damage he's done with his policies, both foreign and domestic. I know that's a big statement, and I'm not going to get way into that here at this time. But as the day of his departure to make way for the even worse future that he is largely responsible for bringing on us gets closer, I will have much more to say about his awful legacy. But right now, there's been way too much hand wringing over Biden's pardon. Look, it's unfair. It's unjust. It's nepotism. It is favoritism to your family. It's also the kind of thing, as a father, I understand where Biden's coming from. Not saying it's right, not saying it's okay. But it is true that, Hunter Biden was targeted by Joe Biden's political enemies. That's why he's in this situation. He has the power to do something about it. I'm not going to say I can't blame him. I can blame him for repeatedly swearing up and down to claim the moral high ground in an illegitimate way, that he would never pardon Hunter. That was wrong. But having done this, I get it. I'm not saying it's okay, but I get it. Um, it, there may yet be opportunities that for Biden to, well, there are opportunities for Biden to issue many more pardons, which, by the way, let's remember, Donald Trump already did. He dozens and dozens of pardons were issued by Trump on his way out the door 4 years ago. Um, so it's this argument that somehow Biden doing this gives Trump the excuse to do it, or somehow justifies it, or gives him an argument in favor. That's all nonsense. It was going to happen anyway. It doesn't matter. Republicans making that argument are certainly arguing in bad faith, and they know it. Democrats who are making that argument are just typically politically clueless. It's not unusual. We may yet see Biden pardon people that should be pardoned. I'm thinking, of course, of Leonard Peltier. I'm thinking, I'm thinking of Mumia Abu Jamal, although I don't think that's actually on the table. It should be. Um, but and he may also pardon some really awful people. It wouldn't be unique. Bill Clinton pardoned his friend Mark Rich, who did all kinds of criminal things. And he pardoned Rich, and it was people were upset about it at the time. Old enough to remember it, but it didn't shatter the American system or any of that sort of thing. In the end, I mean, probably the most famous is Gerald Ford pardoning Richard Nixon. And, and again, very wrong, very aggravating, completely unjust and immoral. You could say all kinds of things about it, but in the end, did that, that it didn't exactly do the damage Watergate did. So it is so striking to me that this is what we get upset with Biden about, where that there is so much anger at him. How he's let the country down, he's dishonest, that somehow people seem let down by Biden. People, this man has been facilitating a genocide for over a year, almost now 14 months. A genocide that could not have happened at all. None of it. It could have been stopped right away with a simple phone call. Instead, Joe Biden has repeatedly enabled Israel, armed Israel, funded Israel, run political cover for Israel, interceded with other countries who wanted to and have still had, in some cases, had the fortitude to try and do what they could to stop Israel in every way. In every way, the genocide in Gaza, with a death toll that is currently around 44,000 officially and is certainly far higher than that. Um, in every way, this is an American genocide. In every way, this is Joe Biden's legacy. In every single way. And let's remember, Joe Biden has also destabilized the entire region. Biden did not draw a red line at Israel attacking Lebanon, did not care that Israel was attacking civilian sites in Lebanon, did not care that Israel was killing civilians in Lebanon, did not care that Israel began this latest chapter in Lebanon by committing what Leon Panetta, the former director of the CIA, and as mainstream a democratic figure as you'll ever find, called an act of terrorism, which is exactly what it was. Biden was fine with it. Biden wasn't just fine with it, he applauded it. He congratulated Israel on their success. And his pardon of Hunter Biden is what makes Nate Silver not sure how much more he can tolerate. It's dumbfounding. It's mind-boggling that this complete moral inversion in the Democratic Party, the people who are supposed to be the liberals, the people who are supposed to care about others. Say what you will about MAGA, they're at least internally consistent with their, with their not with their opinions necessarily, but with their feelings. They want their dictatorship, and that's they'll say what they need to say to get it. They're not shocked when Donald Trump does awful things, because they've seen it all before, and they're even those who think some of these things may actually be awful, they're used to it. Democrats, Democrats just close their eyes to every horrific thing that their party has done. Okay, and we can bring this beyond the Middle East. Okay, I argued 2 years ago that Biden adopting a policy toward Ukraine that we will stand by you until the job is done, no matter how long it takes, was a promise he could not keep. Could not keep. Couldn't keep it. And as we're seeing right now, he hasn't kept it. And so all of a sudden now he's changing his policies to be much more aggressive, possibly leading to a widening of this conflict. And yes, indeed, he's finding a more than willing partner in Vladimir Putin. That none of this exonerates Putin. But I argued that it was a bad strategy then, and that he was making promises that he had no authority really to make, because he didn't know if he'd be there in 4 more years. He certainly knew he wouldn't be there in 8. And again, I'll be going into this more on my in my Substack column to discuss just how badly Biden has screwed that up, has screwed up engagement with China and made that worse. I can go through a long, long list. And we can also find other spots where he's caused enormous suffering, but nothing like Gaza. Nothing like Gaza. Um, and that blood is on our hands as Americans. And we can deny it all we want, um, but especially those of us who haven't even tried to stop it. And that's, let's face it, the overwhelming majority of us, overwhelming majority. History will not look at it kindly. And all of that's horrific to think about. And yet somehow, for me, it gets worse when I see a Nate Silver say that pardoning Hunter Biden is what sends him over the edge, is what is more than he can tolerate. Really? I mean, you can tolerate Gaza, but you can't tolerate a man pardoning his son, however, wrong that might be, and it might be wrong. It is, it's certainly the lying about it was not right. Uh, it's just dumbfounding. And I think we really, really need to look at that. We need to look at how that reflects, somebody like, incidentally, I use Nate Silver as an example. It just happens to be the one that I picked. And so it's also the one I have at hand right now. But I saw similar sentiments being expressed by Democratic pundits, Democratic voters all over social media and mainstream media too. Um, it's dumbfounding that kind of moral vacuousness, that kind of and also this that complete uh not that just purely not seeing the people of Gaza, because Nate Silver doesn't, and those people who are saying similar things don't see Gaza, and that's despite the fact that they have seen the films, they have seen the news reports. Nate Silver is not somebody who is ignorant of social media and what is on there. He's not somebody who lives in so much of a bubble that he hasn't seen any of that. And but it's happening to Palestinians, so who cares? We're doing it to Palestinians, but who cares? That's what this sentiment really exposes, is that we just don't care. When we can say that pardoning Hunter Biden is a worse crime, or is somehow more, or at least is more disturbing to us than not just standing by as Israel massacres Palestinians and tortures an entire population and starves them and deprives them of water and electricity and medicine and shelter. We're not just standing by and watching that, we're making that happen. And that we can continue to say that other things are what bother us while we're doing that is unacceptable. And anybody who thinks that the people who have that kind of sentiment are the good guys, whether it's Joe Biden or Nate Silver, Joe Scarborough, many people who are out there saying these things, Democrats are not the good guys. They're not. And we need to either completely take over this party and change it 180 degrees, or come up with another alternative. As I've said many, many times, we desperately need a better alternative to the fascist GOP. Please like and subscribe. Please support this work if you can. Please share it with your contacts. That's how we build change. Thanks very much. And I hope you have happy holidays. And I hope you already have started doing that.